Hi, my name is Gabriel Castro, and what I'm going to show you is a chip deflector for turning. If you're a wood turner or pen turner, I use this quite a bit for just about everything I do. Primarily I use a 1/2 inch round nose, and what this is, you can see how this little chip deflector, it's magnetic. It uses a 1/2 inch rare earth magnet, and you'll notice it's clear, and you can see that it has a spoon shape. Well, that's because the very first one that I made, where I was at a family get-together and they had clear plastic spoons, I'd never seen one before, and I ended up grabbing one, and I had made my first prototype out of a clear plastic spoon because of its clear concave shape. But after using it a couple times, certain woods really gummed it up and it would never clean up. So you can try making one out of a clear plastic spoon, but I wouldn't recommend it. It doesn't work very well. Show you here. I already made one earlier so we can speed up the video. I cut it out, cut it in half, and I traced it out with the spoon shape. Pretty easy. I just used a Sharpie and put that right over the pattern on top of it, pushed down, traced it all around. And then another thing that you're going to want to do is you'll see two little holes right here. Well, those holes are for the epoxy that you're going to use inside a little makeshift mold. And the mold that I use is just a piece of 1/2 inch Teflon with a 5/8 inch hole with a couple of cutouts in the front to allow for this amount right here just to adhere to the front. And then also just for a little extra, rough it up a little sandpaper about a 1/2 inch up, and then you're going to end up injecting that epoxy on top of that, and I'll explain more how to do that later. But you can kind of see. Okay, now this really works good, especially with dust collection. I don't do very well with cocobolo, bocote, or zirconia. Those woods really affect my lungs and my eyes and my skin. So I've always used a dust collection whenever I turn, or table saw, or whenever, and then this really excels with that because it really helps redirect and pulls the majority of those chips away. So you're going to hear the vacuum come on, so I won't be talking at this point. So anyway, you get the basic idea of how that works. So kind of play with it. That does work well on parting tools, skews, and gouges also if the valley is deep enough. So anyway, I just take, like I said, one of these, trace it out, drill a couple of holes in, and then I just take it right to the bandsaw. I use a small bandsaw, benchtop, with a 1/2 inch blade. I'll cut it out real quick and then show you how it's all put together. So, okay, so here we are at the bandsaw. You're going to want to cut it face side up because otherwise it's going to scratch up really good. So I'm just going to cut this end off first, and then I'm going to flip it up, and then we'll cut it up real quick. Just get a rough cut on it. I had to reposition the camera in order to get a better view. My hand was blocking it. So anyway, here we go. stuck. Okay, so that's pretty much the basic shape right there that you want. And then what we're going to do is just like I said, I want to just rough up the inside edge with sandpaper where that's going to attach in the mold where those holes are. Not really necessary, but little extra doesn't help. On a few that I made that I didn't do that or didn't put the holes in, after the epoxy set and cured, they just popped right off. So anyway, I'm going to show you next how this goes together into the mold. So just hang on for a second. I'm going to move the camera and get set up for a different shot. Okay, so at this point, I'm over here at the bench, and this is my mold. It's just a piece of 1/2-inch Teflon with a 5/8-inch hole drilled into it, and then some straight cuts. And then this is going to go attach straight to here, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do that in a minute. And now this is a 1/2-inch rare earth magnet. I get these at Rockler, and what it is, you're going to need just a couple 3 inches of clear packing tape, and that's going to basically set on here like that. But before you do that, otherwise it's going to be a bit of a pain, put your rare earth magnet on that, and what that is, that's going to hold it in place, and it's going to keep it from moving all over the bottom. So you're just going to use that and set in place, and you can kind of see how it sets in there, and there's a little bit of a gap around it. That way the epoxy can get all around it without keeping it from moving. So then, again, you're going to take this piece, and remember we roughed that up right there, and then also, just because I'm messy when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm going to take a piece of Scotch tape, roughly a 1/2 inch up, over this shield, because when I inject that epoxy, sometimes I make more of a mess than I need to, so that'll keep the epoxy from going up here, and that'll keep that clear. And the good thing about these things is they're optically correct, so you don't have to worry about distorted vision or anything. And you're just going to fold that up to hold that in place, and you're going to want a nice angle on that projecting forward. And then now to keep that from flopping like that on you, I just take some more tape. Pretty low tech, but it works very well. Oops, just don't let it flip around. And then put a little on the front to grab it. This is what works for me. I'm sure you can come up with something better, but this is so easy, available. You can get tape anywhere, and that's dirt cheap. So anyway, next thing you're gonna, oh shoot, I forgot to, you're gonna need to want to lubricate that on the inside. And I just put a little oil on a Q-tip just along the front. So if you're gonna use a piece of wood or something, make sure you put a little oil or something on the front of that, on the inside of that mold. So that'll work just to keep that epoxy, even though this is Teflon, the epoxy will stick to it. I've had to throw some Teflon away because it pretty much just, it was ruined. It just stuck to it. Looks like I need a little bit more tape on the back. So don't be afraid to use the tape. And then you take your regular 5-minute epoxy. It says 5-minute, but it takes a whole day. So you're going to want to just inject that right into the hole. And here we go. Make sure you get those cavities filled in the front first, and then seat all around the inside. at this point. Okay, so this is the chip deflector out of its, or it's still in the mold, but I've removed all the tape and everything so you can see how it all looks. And I'll just show you how it simply pops out. You don't want to take it out by grabbing the top of the shield like this. So grab it at the base, the top and the bottom, and you can see the magnet is flush when you put that tape in there. You don't want that to get covered so you get a good stick when it's magnet to metal. But anyway, just simply wiggle it loose, and you can kind of see how that can come out. And then that one pops out. That's again with epoxy, and then that's just a 1/2 inch Teflon. And then I made another one here. This one, exactly the same process, 2 holes, but this one I just use a hot glue gun. This one you definitely have to be careful of removing it out, but I cleaned it up a little bit so you can see it, and that one also pops right out. It's not as strong as an epoxy, but if you're just using it for yourself, if you just want to play around with it till you get the shape right, that'll work out really well. Also, it's a cheaper way to go, so that way you can make multiples a lot easier, and you don't have to wait overnight for it to dry either. So that sets in 20 minutes. You can take it out. So, and then I'll just show you how I clean those up. Okay, here we are at the lathe. I'm going to grind these down. I don't have a real bench grinder sander combo unit, so I just made my own out of some 3/4 inch scrap plywood. Put a 6-inch self-adhering sandpaper on that I got from Home Depot. I tapered a piece of Cocobolo, the M2 taper, so that just fits right inside the hole. Just give that a good push straight in, and then I take out the tool rest, and then I made the same thing out of a piece of a 1/2 inch, or actually 5/8 Cocobolo to fit inside the hole for the tool rest. And then you can kind of see how I'll push that right in there, and then that just fits right in. Lock it in right up against it, so you're pretty much good to go, just like that. And then that's just a couple of dollars for the sandpaper. So if you don't have a disc sander and you need one, I feel I always use it. It's great for making guitar picks and things like that. So anyway, I'll show you how I just put up against it like you would think, and then you're ready to go. So you got the basic shape, and you just clean that up with your finger or a little bit more sandpaper on the front. But that's pretty much it. And then what's good is when you're using these, you can see I do have several of them. I just keep them magnetically attached to my lathe when I'm not using it, or I'm switching tools. It's a good place to put it. And then that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you get some use out of that tip. So have a great day.